So, a compass isn't always accurate. It relies on magnetic north, and that direction actually fluctuates. It changes. True north doesn't. True north is a fixed point on Earth, and it always remains constant, that direction. I believe we all need to understand what our true north is. By that I mean those values which shape us and define us. And I discovered mine growing up in Scotland as a wee boy. That's where this accent comes from. And that's me when I was 6 years old. My hair's so big it didn't even fit in the slide. I lost an inch when I was trying to crop it in. But we moved into Kilmarnock in the early 80s, and we were the first family of colour to move into that town. And being the first meant having a childhood full of memories, but those memories were full of hate, they were full of violence, and they're full of more tears than smiles. But what that childhood did was it formed my true north, and it gave me my 3 Fs, which I relied on again and again. And those 3 Fs were my faith, my family, and my fight. And these values were something that I would lean on heavily when I took on the biggest role of my career. And it was this. My biggest role was investigating police misconduct and police corruption at a body called the Independent Office for Police Conduct, where I became the director for London. And I put that slide together to try and describe how much happened when I worked there, but it probably doesn't do it justice. But the easiest way to try and describe it is every major case, every major scandal that you might have seen concerning the Met Police, I dealt with every single case. But one of the biggest was this, Operation Houghton. Operation Houghton was a series of investigations that we did which uncovered a toxic culture inside the Met Police. And what we actually found there was a large group of white male police officers doing despicable things, including sexually harassing and victimizing female officers and other officers of colour. What we also found was every possible form of bigotry contained in their WhatsApp messages. It actually showed you what a toxic culture looked like because you could read it and you could see it, which is why I was determined to publish these messages unredacted and uncensored, to try and bring them into the disinfectant of sunlight. But my senior management team didn't want me to. And I came under huge pressure to remove these messages from the final report. And look, the easy thing to have done back then would have been to have given in, to cede, to say, yeah, that's fine. But the right thing and the hard thing to do was to resist, was to refuse, and was to fight. And that's what I did. And I won. But in doing that, I risked my career. But this is what happened next. What I thought might get some level of attention became a major national, then international news story, because people could actually see what this toxic culture looked like because they could read these messages. And then it led to a chain sequence of events, which by the end of that week led to the Commissioner of the Met Police, Dame Cressida Dick, resigning. It led to change. And all because when no one was watching, I held true to my values. And this is the thought I'd like to leave you with, that if this wee boy from Scotland with that bad hair could do this, what might you all do by finding and following, but then crucially holding on to your own true north? Thank you very much.